Guys, it's that time of the week again, back for our championship score predictions. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. Last weekend was absolutely mental for championship results, so if this weekend throws up just as many upsets, then we're in for an absolute treat this time around. As always, make sure to go ahead and get your championship score predictions in the comments down below and get yourself entered onto the prediction league. Also, make sure to go ahead and check out the Google Doc, which I've left in the description down below of today's video. Basically, we're just looking for a little bit of feedback on what you think of the channel, what you think you'd like to see me improve in, any types of videos that you'd like to see in the future as well. All your feedback is massively appreciated on there. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. And so we'll start out with tonight's first game that we got going on. We got a couple of Friday night kickoffs tonight, so make sure to go ahead and get your score predictions in pretty swiftly for these two. But it's Coventry going up against Peterborough. It's the team with the 100% home record going up against the team with the 0% away record. So is this one going to be a bit of a foregone conclusion? Well, we fell into that trap last weekend, especially with making some of our predictions, and we ended up looking a little bit silly. And Peterborough were actually one of those sides who pulled off one of those upsets, putting 3 goals past Birmingham in quite convincing fashion in the end. Siriki Dembele was absolutely fantastic. He was central to all the goals they were scoring in that one, and I think that throughout the season he may go on to prove to be their most pivotal player. I know there was a lot of focus on Clark Harris at the start of the season, but in that dynamic trio they've got going forward at the moment, Siriki Dembele has definitely been the one that's caught my eye the most so far this season. But Coventry at home are just getting results at the moment, aren't they? 4 games played at home, 4 wins so far. They're doing it in fashion as well. Victor Gyökeres is in the form of his life at the moment. They're not shipping many goals. They've currently got the best defensive record in the championship as well. And despite Peterborough's great result last time around, on the road things haven't quite clicked for them so far. So I think I'm going to play it safe for this one and go for a 2-0 Coventry home win. FIFA going for a 1-1 draw, and Coventry could go top of the championship tonight as well, which is absolutely just a testament to how much of a good job Mark Robins has done there so far. Next up then, and to the second game going on tonight, and it's a real fascinating one. It's West Brom going up against QPR. Now both sides could really do with all 3 points in this one. West Brom have drawn their last 3 matches now. They are still unbeaten in the championship, but there's just been a bit of a frustrating feel about West Brom for the past couple of weeks. They're going up against this QPR side who are without win themselves in the last 3 matches, but they did obviously get that dramatic win in midweek in the Carabao Cup against Everton on penalties. Now this is going to be such an interesting sort of tactical battle, because West Brom can be so good at pressing the midfield, especially with like Mowat and Livermore playing together, and those are the areas where QPR can really look to hurt, you know, especially if they go with 2 number 10s for this one in both Willock and Chet. It's going to be a really interesting dynamic in the middle. But I do think that West Brom have become, albeit maybe a little bit predictable in their play style over the past couple of weeks. That's been sinned by, you know, obviously Preston got the point against them last time. Derby were able to hold out against them. Millwall frustrated them as well. So I think there's going to be goals in this one. I'm not sure if I can separate it either way, so I'm going to go for, I think, a 2-2 draw in this one. I do see there being goals in it. FIFA's going 1-0 West Brom, which would be quite the help in their season at the moment. Next then, to Saturday's early kickoff, we got Reading going up against Middlesbrough. Now since we last made a video, the news obviously broke of a potential point deduction which is coming Reading's way this season. Up to 9 points they could be deducted due to financial breaches. Now this is a different situation to the Derby one, and there is the possibility that even with a 9-point deduction that Reading could survive. They put in a string of decent performances lately. Obviously that win at Fulham last time around was absolutely fantastic, with Ajaria proving to be the main man in that game. They've also been, I mean, they have been pretty hit and miss at home so far this season, but what they do at home is they score a hell of a lot of goals. No championship side has scored more goals at home so far this season than Reading have. 10 goals they've already scored in their first 4 home matches. They're going up against a Borough side who hasn't particularly started the season well, and I'd already suggest that the pressure is starting to build a little bit on Neil Warnock. I know he's got a lot of new faces to sort of integrate into this side at the moment, but yeah, but last time's defeat against Blackpool really hammered home what has been a pretty poor start to the season by their standards. So with that potential point deduction coming Reading's way, these games are going to be more important than ever because they may have to overcome that 9-point deficit. So for a score prediction, I think I'm going to back the home side for this one, you know. Whether it is Swift or Ajaria coming up with a couple of moments of magic, I'm going to go 2-1 Reading in this game, with FIFA going 1-0 Reading. Coming up next, we then go to Birmingham up against Preston. Now, Birmingham's great start to the season has sort of levelled out recently with back-to-back defeats. Obviously, the Fulham one maybe could be expected, but last time out against Peterborough was really quite shoddy, especially from a defensive point of view. They looked all over the place at times. So if they come into this game having not had a reaction then I'd probably fancy Preston's chances for this one. Obviously, in all competitions at the moment, Preston unbeaten in our last 7 games now, I think, which is a decent unbeaten run, albeit in the league. The majority of those results have been draws recently. So we just need to find that formula to start turning some of those draws into wins. I think that in terms of players returning, they're still a couple of weeks away in terms of like the Tom Barcusens, Michael Olasunde, who we've not seen so far this season, Ched Evans, and Scott Sinclair as well. So my head says this one probably ends as a draw. My heart says that I think that Preston might be able to snatch this one. Emil Rees is where the real threats are coming from Preston at the moment. Got another goal in midweek in the Carabao Cup, and I mean Daniel Johnson especially always likes a game against Birmingham, doesn't he? But I think I'm going to go with my head in this one just because we've been drawing so many matches recently. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this going down a similar road because Birmingham obviously will want to have a reaction from last time around. So I'm going to play it safe and go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going 1-0 Preston. Next up, we then head to Ewood Park, where we have Blackburn going up against Cardiff, and I'm struggling to really split these two sides, to be honest with you. Cardiff are on a bit of a dodgy run of form at the moment. They've lost their last 2 matches, and their creative stats haven't looked great. They've only had 3 shots on target over the last 2 games they've played. Blackburn last time around looked a little bit blunt in front of goal in that goalless draw they had against Barnsley, but in general at Ewood Park so far this season, they've been pretty consistent for goal scoring. So I'd certainly expect Blackburn to start out as the faster of these two sides, but Cardiff have been able to pull off a couple of results so far this season away from home. They were good away from home last season as well, and they've particularly liked leaving things quite late on into the second half as well, where McCarthy will make sort of a couple substitutions and they tend to have a bit of an impact. So for a score prediction in this one, it wouldn't surprise me if it went either way, but I think I'm going to play it safe for this one and go for a 1-1 draw. I expect Blackburn will score first and then Cardiff will just get back into it. So yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. FIFA's going 1-0 Cardiff. Next up then we go to Bloomfield Road, where we got Blackpool going up against Barnsley. Blackpool will be looking to build off the back of that terrific away win they had last time out against Middlesbrough, and should they come through this game with 3 points, that'll be 3 wins from 4 and really the start of a good run of form. Obviously it took Blackpool a little bit of time to get going this season, but I was having a look before at some of their upcoming fixtures, and over the next sort of 2 or 3 matches after this one, they do have some other winnable games in there. So potentially this is the start of a bit of a run of form that Blackpool go on here, and I do think they'll see this one as another opportunity to pick up some points against a Barnsley side who hasn't quite got going so far this season. Obviously we touched on it before, but last time out was a goalless draw for Barnsley against Blackburn. On the road so far this season, they're yet to really get going either. They've not won away from home, although they have drawn 3 out of the 4 matches they've played on the road this far into this season. For a score prediction, first goal feels important for this one. I see it being a fairly low scoring one, to be honest with you. And I do see, I think Blackpool may end up edging this one, you know. I'm going to go 1-0 to the home side, although a draw also wouldn't surprise me. But I'll go 1-0 Blackpool. FIFA's going 2-0 Barnsley. Next up we then go to Bournemouth up against Luton. Bournemouth currently the Championship League leaders, and deservedly so with the way they're playing at the moment. The fact that they've come through 2 tough games against QPR and Cardiff with 6 points is a real testament to them. They themselves, like a couple of the other teams at the top of the Championship at the moment, had that bit of a drawing spell that they went on, but they've come through that terrifically and are looking quite good at the moment. Luton can be fairly unpredictable, I think it's fair to say, with their sort of levels of performances. Since losing that game 5-0 against Birmingham, they've gone on to draw all 4 of their following 4 matches. I mean, that one last time out really should have been 3 points, you know, being 3-0 up against Swansea at half-time, but they just seem to fall apart in the second half. And Luton have had that bit of a thing about them so far this season, where they tend to play really well for 45 minutes, whether that's the first half or the second half, but they can't quite seem to keep up that. I don't know whether it's intensity or concentration, but for a score prediction in this one, I think that with the way that Bournemouth are playing at the moment, and with the sort of unpredictable nature of Luton, I'm going to back Bournemouth for this one, I think, for another 3 points. I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth for this one. one, with FIFA going 1-0 Luton. Next up we then head into Bristol City up against Fulham at Ashton Gate. Both sides involved in really interesting games last time out. Bristol City picking up another 3 points on the road as they beat QPR by 2-1. They had to probably ride their luck at times throughout that one, and particularly in the second half when QPR were really bombing forward, but Daniel Bentley was the star man in that game. 10 saves he made, which was absolutely unbelievable. Some of them absolutely worldy saves, and we are used to, you know, we've become accustomed to him doing that at times for Bristol City, but he's going to have to be on top form for this one. Obviously, we've already mentioned Bristol City's home record quite a few times so far this season, but yet to get off the mark in terms of a win at Ashton Gate so far this season. And Fulham will be looking to bounce back after a frustrating game they had last time out. Obviously, they lost 2-1 against Reading, albeit they were still creating chances, it's just they couldn't quite take any of them. Fulham were also in action in midweek as well against Leeds. They ended up losing that one on penalties, albeit they did make quite a few changes for that game. For a score prediction in this one, I think that normality may be resumed in this one. Bristol City are on a decent 4-game unbeaten run at the moment, but I just think that with some of the players that Fulham have going forward, and with Bristol City's current home record, I'm going to sway to Fulham for a 2-1 away victory for this game. FIFA's going 1-0 Fulham. Next up, we then head to the City Ground where we have Nottingham Forest going up against Millwall. This will be Steve Cooper's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest, so I'm interested to see what sort of impact he's already had on this team. Now, prior to his arrival, it was a great win for Forest last time out, to be fair. Obviously, their first win of the season, they switched up the system in that one, went for a 3-4-3, and it actually served them quite well. That first goal he scored especially really well taken. Going up against this Millwall side though won't be tough. Millwall aren't really winning any matches at the moment. They've only won one match so far this season, but they have made themselves tough to beat, which is what we'd expect from a Gary Rowett's side. 8 games into this season, they've already drawn 5 matches, which is the most in the Championship so far this season. They have drawn their last 3 Championship matches. They were also in action in midweek. They lost 2-0 against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. But yeah, it's two pretty pragmatic managers coming up against each other here. Obviously, Cooper probably first of all will want to sort out the defence there, get them that solid base like he had at Swansea, but I am looking forward to seeing what he can do with some of the youngsters there. For a score prediction in this one, going to play it safe, go for a 1-1 I think. FIFA's going 1-0 Forest. Next up then we head to Bramall Lane where we have Sheffield United going up against Derby. Now, at the moment in these sort of videos, it seems like I'm predicting Derby to lose most weeks, but they just keep on proving me wrong, so fair play, long may it continue for Derby at the moment. Obviously, it's a fantastic run of form, especially considering the difficult circumstances off the pitch, which we did touch on last time. But one other thing that I wanted to add to that was I do think that Rooney has done fairly well actually with how he sort of managed things both on and off the pitch. I think that he deserves quite a bit of credit for how he's handled the whole situation so far. But this is going to be a tough game. Sheffield United were in action in the Carabao Cup in midweek, ultimately losing on penalties to Southampton, although they did make quite a few changes for that game. In the league at the moment though, Sheffield United are in good goal scoring form. They scored 11 goals in their last 3 matches now. It's hard to believe that a few weeks ago our main sort of gripe with Sheffield United was the lack of any goal scoring prowess, and then out of nowhere they've absolutely exploded. Morgan Gibbs-White has been absolutely central to this change around in form, especially at the top end of the pitch, and with how well they're doing at the moment in terms of those goals that carry on coming, I think Sheff United probably end up having too much for Derby in this one. But hey, how many times have I said that so far this season, and Derby have proven me wrong. For a score prediction, I am going to go 2-1 Sheffield United though. FIFA's going at 1-0 Sheffield United. Next up we then go to Stoke up against Hull. Hull really struggling for points at the moment. No wins in their last 7 Championship matches obviously. One of their main problems so far this season has been goal scoring, but they did get that first goal since the opening day last time out, albeit it came in a 3-1 defeat against Sheffield United. Now, Stoke were pretty uncharacteristically poor last time around against Derby. I thought in the first half especially, they really let their guard down and allowed Derby to create quite a few chances against them. At home, it's been a bit of a different story for Stoke, to be fair, so far this season. They've won 3 out of their 4 home matches, and that one game at home that they did end up dropping points in, they probably should have won, to be honest, in that 1-1 draw they had against Barnsley, where they created a ridiculous amount of chances. It was just that Bradley Collins had an absolute worldie. So with Stoke's home record so far this season, and still Hull struggling for a bit of momentum at the moment, I'm probably going to go 2-0 Stoke in this game, with FIFA going 1-0 Hull. Hull just need that one result to really shift their momentum, but I'm not sure if I see them getting it in this one. And as our final game of the weekend to go ahead and predict, we have Swansea going up against Huddersfield. Honestly, God knows what's going to happen in this Swansea game. They were their tough customer to predict recently. Obviously, they had back-to-back goalless draws, and then that thrilling 6-goal thriller last time out against Luton. It really depends on which version of Swansea we get here. Do we get the first half Swansea against Luton or the second half? Because, I mean, it is probably about time that Swansea got another win under their belts. It's 3 consecutive draws now that they've had in the Championship recently under Russell Martin. Still yet to get off the mark at the Liberty as well in terms of a home win. But, I mean, Huddersfield won't be an easy customer. They have been decent on the road so far this season. 7 points from their first 4 away matches. They did lose last time out against Nottingham Forest, but on the road they've seemed pretty well equipped so far. The last game they had on the road was that 3-0 win they had against Blackpool. For a score prediction though, I don't know why, I just have a feeling that something may click in this one for Swansea. So I'm going to put my neck out and go for a 2-1 Swansea home victory in this one, although probably another draw wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. But I'll go 2-1 Swansea, why not? FIFA's going for a goalless draw. But guys, there we have it. There are my Championship score predictions for what I see happening in this weekend's action. As always, make sure to get your thoughts and predictions in the comments down below. Also, make sure to check out that Google document where I'm looking for your guys' feedback on the channel and any other things that you'd like to see over the next couple of months. Make sure to check out the Planet Sport Network in the link down below as well. We've done loads of cool collabs recently with Benjamin Bloom and the Second Tier podcast. Loads of other content going up on there soon as well, and the Patreon as well. We've recently released my reaction to Steve Cooper getting the Nottingham Forest job, and I gave my thoughts on that. But that will wrap it up for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Stay subscribed for some regular Championship content, and I'll see you all in the next one.